Hello everyone, and welcome to our Wednesday webinar series. Today addressing what our Workspace solution has made possible within Cognos. My name is Brad Engel, and I'm on the business development team here at Brightstar Partners. And demonstrating Workspace today is Colleen Balda, a business intelligence consultant for Brightstar Partners. Colleen will spend about a half an hour walking you through some key functionalities of Workspace. So at this point, I'd like to pass things over to Colleen and get the webinar covering IBM Cognos Workspace started. Without further delay, go ahead and take it away, Colleen.
Hi everyone, as Brad mentioned, my name is Colleen Balda and I'm a business intelligence consultant for Brightstar Partners. Today, basically, I'm going to give you an overview of Workspace, to explain why you should use Workspace, and then I'm going to give you 3 kind of tips and tricks for getting started. So what is Workspace? Here I have the definition of Workspace from IBM. IBM Cognos Workspace is a web-based tool that allows you to use IBM Cognos content as well as external data sources to build sophisticated interactive workspaces that provide insight and facilitate collaborative decision-making. Basically, Workspace is used to build interactive dashboards from Cognos. You can also use TM1, web sheets, QViews, and even external data to incorporate in these dashboards. Users can view the dashboards built in Workspace for high-level decision-making or to do some comparison and analysis all in one tabbed user interface. Why should you use Workspace? Why bother even adopting this tool and building the applications? Well, a real problem in business intelligence and IT in general is the adoption of new technology by users. So a recent survey published by the Business Application Research Center reported that while BI vendors generally report a 20% rate of user adoption within a company that promotes BI, it might be actually less than 10%, which is pretty low. And if we looked at the adoption rate for Microsoft Excel for data analysis, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm betting it's more than 8%. So the reason for this is that users are back of mind when IT is going out on projects. Often BI projects are tool and technology focused. They're run by IT, and they don't have a clear picture of the needs of the end users anywhere on the map. These projects simply consume cache and data center space. The very intent of Workspace is the final product built for user interaction. So that being said, it's impossible to build a Workspace without gathering the exact requirements of what end users want to see and without understanding exactly how they will interact with the space to make decisions. Workspace is really a tool that can turn non-users into power users by giving them a taste for BI. So often people use Excel because they don't know exactly what they need, and it's a tool that lets them build it themselves this week when their boss wants the answer and there's a decision to make. A Workspace can be built by IT or a non-technical user with decision-making in mind. It can be high-level with a low level of analysis interaction for our C-level suite executives, while other non-technical users who desire more analysis can play around in the user-friendly kind of ooey-gooey environment to really understand their data and interact with it. So that really makes Workspace a true self-service tool. It's simple to work with, and it's very visual. Users are going to be prone to adopt it when they can easily manipulate and modify their data as they're able to do in Excel. It also has the power to give users a sneak peek of all the capabilities of their BI in Cognos without an overwhelming and complex interface such as Report Studio. There's some new features in 10.2 surrounding Workspace. So 2 product components that are renamed in this release to avoid confusion with the other IBM products. So Cognos Insight and Cognos Business Insight Advanced are renamed to Cognos Workspace and Cognos Workspace Advanced. There are also tabbed interfaces in 10.2. So with tabbed workspaces, you can organize content on multiple tabs in a single workspace. Typically, each tab will contain information about a different area of the business. Also, there's the option of having global areas in 10.2. A tab workspace can include an area that's common to all the tabs called the global area. And here you can keep any object in view as you click through the tabs in the workspace. So it would be like clicking through Microsoft Excel tabs, but having a pane on the right or left-hand side that stays the same. There is also enhanced column and row interactions with lists and crosstabs. You can freeze column and row headings in lists and crosstabs. So freezing them keeps them in a view as you scroll through the data. And you can also view the column and row heading details to look up the data. There are also some graduated chart interaction features. So you can select a chart or one or more parts of a chart and apply widget actions. Also, in the widget toolbar, you can click to change display type to automatically get the best display type for the particular data that you're trying to display. There's also added browser support. So now you can use Google Chrome, Apple Safari with Workspace. And some other features that have been updated include controls of features and functions by the admin, action button widgets, and a return button on the application bar. So in doing demos and building proof of concepts, we get a lot of questions about user interactions, what users can and can't move, change, edit, analyze. That being said, the appearance of the user interface, the features that are available to you, and the functions you're able to perform are dependent on the capabilities that's set for you. So we have 3 different capability options. There's consume, interact, and assemble. This is important because different types of users will be interacting with your dashboard. So it's useful to control the level of interaction an analyst might have versus a C-level executive. So first we have consumers. An example of a consumer would be that C-level executive. This user can interact with the space by adding comments, going to target reports, printing or exporting widgets, and drilling up and down or freezing column or row headings for navigation. The user who has the consumer privileges cannot save or filter without filters that are already on the space, as someone with the interact capability can do. The consumer can also cannot utilize the functions of the widgets, including grouping, sorting, or swapping. The biggest difference between the user who has the interact capability versus our third type, which is the assemble capability, is adding to and moving pieces of the workspace. An assembler can actually add widgets and filters, as well as contribute to the design of the space by resizing and changing the workspace style. A user with the interact capability has widgets, functions, and features available, but is not actually able to build the widgets themselves. Next, I'm going to give you an overview of the different ways you can add content to the space from IBM Cognos, as well as create a user experience by Workspace with utilizing the new Tab Workspace feature. Also, I'm going to show you the basics on the design for a Tab Workspace with some of the nuance that go along with individualizing the design on each tab. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to add IBM Cognos content to your workspace. There's a huge difference between dragging an individual report than dragging report components. Some of the objects that you can add to a workspace include individual reports, report parts such as table and charts, IBM Cognos Power Play reports, URLs, folders, prompt controls, metric lists and individual metrics, IBM Cognos TM1 web sheets and TM1 cube views, as well as IBM Cognos Active Reports. I'm going to show you this. First, I'm going to show you the difference between adding an entire report from IBM Cognos Connection and adding a report component. There are benefits to doing either. So here I have a new workspace open from IBM Cognos Connection with one tab, and you can see on the right-hand side all of our IBM Cognos content is available. So any of the folders, objects, your packages, everything as it's listed in Cognos is listed over here on the content screen on the right-hand side. I'm going to show you the difference between dragging our whole employee satisfaction report, it's just being used as our example, versus adding a report component. So you can see there's a drop-down arrow to the left of the employee satisfaction report in our samples. And when you expand the drop-downs, you see our different charts, you see a singleton, and you see a crosstab. These are the different report components that make up the employee satisfaction report. So as you can see, I've dragged the whole report onto the pane, but I can also just drag individual reports. To add content to the workspace, I can simply click and drag it onto the page. I can right-click on the content and choose Insert into Current Tab, or I can hit Control-Shift-Enter with the content selected, and that will also drag it onto the tab. As you can see, our widget's been created from me dragging the entire employee satisfaction report onto the page. And we have a chart, another chart, and a crosstab. By dragging the whole report onto the page, we also get the page number, the date and time in the footer, as well as the header that has the chart title, the report title. If I was going to resize this to fit all on one page to make it more like a dashboard for our user, you can see that the contents within the widget, because I dragged the whole report onto the pane, don't get resized. So your user has to scroll within the widget to see all of their content. If we want to make this scrolling go away, we can actually just add the individual report components to the page. So I can just drag the chart, the singleton, the combination chart, and the crosstab, and then I'm able to resize those and move them around more fluidly on the page. So if I change the size of this chart, the content of the widget actually resizes to how I want to fit the chart to the page. So there are really some benefits of actually just dragging the individual report components onto the page versus dragging the whole report as far as the look and feel for your users and the interface goes. Next, I'm going to show you how to create a tabbed workspace. It's really beneficial to create a landing page and action buttons for navigation versus separate dashboards. The benefits include maintainability, so you don't have a bunch of workspaces all over the place for different departments. You can have them all in one, so we can really utilize things across business units. It's also beneficial for data comparison. An example would be if you have different sales regions, you can put the regions on the different tabs all in one workspace so that you can just simply click through the tabs as you would kind of in Microsoft Excel to compare easily in one space. And also it's beneficial for non-sophisticated user interaction. You don't have to have your users going around to multiple reports trying to find things. You can have it all in one place. Here again I have a fresh workspace open from Cognos Connection. And if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, you can see that we're on tab 1. To create a new tab, I want to navigate to the top left-hand corner of the screen, chart, our actions menu, to this blue drop-down arrow, where I can create a new tab. And as you can see, by clicking New Tab, and tab 2 has appeared at the bottom of our screen next to tab 1. And again, I went to the Actions menu, which is this blue button in the top left-hand corner of our screen, and I selected New Tab. And again, if you look at the bottom left-hand corner of our screen, you'll see tab 2 and then tab 3 that I just created. I'm going to navigate back to tab 1 and make tab 1 our home page. And I can rename this by going again to our Actions button in our top left-hand corner and choose to rename the tab. And I'm going to call tab 1 our home tab. By clicking on tab 2, navigating to our Actions menu, choosing rename this tab, I'm going to rename this tab for our marketing department. And again, I'm going to click on tab 3, navigate to our Actions menu in the top left-hand corner, choose rename this tab, and name this tab for finance. Now I have the option of navigating along the bottom left-hand corner of our screen between our tabs by just clicking on the tab, like you would in a Microsoft Excel document. But I also have the option of creating this home page and an action button, so that if I'm a user for marketing, the home screen is going to pop up when I open my workspace, and then I can click on my marketing button on this landing page and go directly to the information that I'm looking for. So from the Actions button properties, I can actually select Go to Marketing for this button, which will make me, when I click on the button, go to the Marketing tab. I can give the button a customized label, and I can also create the button from any image. So when I create this button, you'll see the standard blue button appears. I can make this button any image within that I upload to IBM Cognos. So now I can move this button anywhere on the page to create a landing page, and I click the marketing button, and you can see our marketing tab is highlighted. The last thing I'm going to show you is modifying the workspace style. There are global and non-global workspace styles, and there are benefits to both. The benefits of using global formatting is that it's easy. Everything looks the same across all the tabs, and you only have to set the styles once. The benefits to non-global is that they're individualized to users or business units. And if you have different types of data or you want to highlight things across one tab, it's a lot easier to make things individualized. Here's our dashboard that I created before with our home page, our landing page, with our marketing finance tabs and our marketing and finance action buttons on the landing page. You can see we have a gray background and our action button widgets have black borders. If I go to the marketing tab, we also have a gray background, and if I was to drag a widget onto the page, by default, you can see that our widget has this black background, just like the black backgrounds that were on the widgets on our home page. This is because from the Layout and Style menu on our home screen, in the Workspace style, we have the gray color set for the background and the widget background color, or the widget outline color set to be black. If on the marketing tab I didn't want the background to be gray and the outline of our widgets to be black, instead of from the Layout and Style menu, editing the Workspace style, I'm actually going to right-click on that tab and edit the tab style. And you can see it's by default gray because we edited this from the Layout and Style menu. In order to change that, we need to override the tabs and global area settings selected in the Edit Workspace Style dialog box. By checking this box and then making changes, I can actually edit the changes to edit the style for this particular tab. So I can edit the background, I can go to widgets, override the widgets settings selected in the Edit Workspace dialog box, and I can edit the borders or the titles here for this particular tab. So as you can see, I changed my background color to purple. I changed the color of my widget. But by doing that, by right-clicking and editing the tab style, I didn't affect the global styles that are applied. So my Home tab and my Finance tab still have the settings from the Layout and Style menu, but because I edited the settings by right-clicking on this particular tab and editing the tab style and checking the override the tabs and global area settings, and checking the override the widget settings checkbox, I can edit the styles for these particular tabs. So 3 keys to success when creating Workspace. You can create a Workspace that acts as a user interface for multiple lines of business or geographical units by creating a tabbed Workspace. I would also recommend adding content with user interaction and maintainability in mind. So that was when I showed you how to add the individual report components instead of adding an entire report to make sure that your users are navigating on one screen so they don't have to do a lot of clicking and scrolling. And I would also recommend to utilize individual design features so that each business unit really feels like they can own their tab, or each geographical unit feels like they own their tab and it looks different from their peers. I also have some resources that are available, the do's and don'ts of Workspace, some IBM how-to videos, and the IBM user Workspace guide. And that wraps up my portion of the presentation.
Thanks, Colleen. That was great. Excellent job. We do want to thank everyone for attending today's webinar. Should you have any questions regarding anything Brightstar Partners related to the demonstration today, new license purchases, an upcoming support renewal, or a services need, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to help. Again, thank you for joining us today, and we do look forward to seeing you for next month's edition of our Wednesday webinar series.